evening, and welcome to Fantasy Baseball. Code Red on Enravio.com. Our new time, our new day, Tuesday night, 6:30. How you doing, General?
Oh, I just love it.
Just loving it.
Oh, yes.
Loving it.
Yep.
Hitting all that rush hour
All
traffic
that rush
on the way
hour
over
traffic
here.
trying to get here.
Let me tell you something. We almost didn't start on time because these idiots are doing road construction on the William Floyd Parkway during rush hour.
What other time would you want to do it?
Can we have 2 lanes? Please, can we have 2 lanes during rush hour? Is that possible?
No, it's not.
Anyway, so on the way over here, I got the pleasure, I had the pleasure of listening to New York sports radio blow up over the Matt Harvey situation and the fact that apparently Mr. Harvey sent out a questionable, possibly highly offensive tweet on the anniversary of his Tommy John surgery. And, the picture was of him in his hospital bed the day of the surgery and a year ago. And he's in his hospital gown. Thank God he's clothed at least this time. And he's got his little Santa hat on and all that good stuff. But he was flipping somebody the bird and decided to put this on Twitter today. And New York is just turned upside down over this.
They're all at Twitter about it?
They're all at Twitter.
I was waiting to see you come out of the back room with a tray of food. I thought maybe you were going to be there in the picture too.
I think next week I'm going to have to lay in a hospital bed and give you all the bird.
It's kind of a dumb thing to do.
My pictures from last year. You know what? I mean, this isn't huge news. It's must
it's
be
funny
slow,
if nothing else. But
it must be a slow news day in New York. But you know what? I do have a little. How can I say this without getting us fined by the FCC?
Where's my bell?
I do have a little bug up my butt over one thing regarding this whole thing is caller after caller on New York Sports Talk Radio went on and on about this particular topic, and somehow this thing morphed into Derek Jeter.
You can't get away from him, can
Derek
you?
Jeter would never do this. Matt Harvey, you're no Derek Jeter. Matt Harvey, you don't even come from a family anywhere near the caliber of family that Derek Jeter comes from.
Well, listen, if the shoe fits, he can kick himself in the rear end with it. And those are Met fans calling up, by the way.
No, it's the fat guy in his chair by him, saying it's on his throne at New York Sports Talk Radio, which I won't even give him the plug and give the call letters to the station. But
well, listen, I mean, this is not a big deal, but as I said to you just a few minutes ago before we went on, it does strike me as a little bit odd now. We've had a couple of incidents here of questionable judgment, and I suspect that, we're at a point with him where really all anybody cares about is how he pitches. We don't care about pictures of him running around naked on ESPN. We don't care about pictures of him in bed giving us the finger. We don't, which by the way, his mother took the picture. Thanks, Mom. We don't care about Anna V or the other one that we talked about last week,
Ashley House.
Whatever her name is.
In the house.
We don't care about any of these people because really all anybody cares about is how he pitches. And if he goes out there and throws a 5 ERA up at you and an 8-16 record, guess
then
what? Now it's not so funny anymore.
You know what? I agree with you. I think it was uncalled for. I think it was inappropriate. Not that I'm personally offended by it, but you know what? You have to remember that there's a young fan base out there that of young kids that look up to a Matt Harvey. That's where I say that it was done in bad taste. Again, why Derek Jeter needs to be brought into this, I don't know. Unless I don't know that Matt Harvey may have proclaimed that he wanted to be.
I doubt that.
The next Derek Jeter in New York.
I don't see Matt Harvey.
I don't see that either.
Maybe other people have made that statement, but not Matt Harvey.
Maybe. But, it's just, again, why I would feel at times that Derek Jeter is just a little bit overrated because he doesn't belong in this conversation. And we're going to hold this guy up on this, this grand pedestal. And, He's everybody. He's the barometer for behavior for everyone. If you can be like Derek, you're okay.
Yes,
anyway,
I agree.
Moving on. We are now 3 weeks into our fantasy baseball season. We're going to start off with who's hot and who's not. we'll start off with who's hot and who's not for the week. And for the week, we've got some very interesting people to discuss.
Okay.
A guy for me that has been a godsend, so to speak, in one of my leagues. A guy that I wanted to trade right after I drafted him virtually. I felt he was going to be the real weak link on my team, and that's Neil Walker. Neil Walker right now is hitting 300. Neil Walker has 6 home runs. Let me start for the week. He's got 4 home runs this week with 6 runs batted in. On the season, 275, 6 home runs, 12 runs batted in, and a stolen base.
Sell high.
Neil Walker is actually leading my team in RBIs and home runs.
Sell high.
And I got to say, the rest of the squad's not doing too poorly. I'm in first place in that league. But Neil Walker, what a surprise.
It is a surprise, and I wouldn't count on it. I mean, I think he's a decent second baseman. He can give you the pop, you'll hit some homers, but I think now we've settled into, like, we know where he is at in the world. We know what his high water mark is, and right now he is a sell high guy in my mind. Yeah, enjoy it while you can. I think eventually he'll settle into his normal numbers.
You know what? He certainly could be a sell high guy. He's 28. So there is a chance that he hit that magical year 27 a year too late. Certainly a possibility that he may just blossom this year and break out. But right now he's on a pace for, 30 plus home runs.
Don't say it.
So
real guru hears this.
Yeah, where's the guru when you need him? But Neil Walker, a big week.
Great.
Justin Morneau.
Morneau, now there's a guy I think has a chance at Coors Field to return to some of the previous numbers we might have seen. Not the MVP number that year, but I think there's a legitimate shot maybe to get into the 25, 30 homer range, maybe give you 90, 100 RBI. It's possible.
Well, listen, if this week is an indication, he hit 375 this week with 3 home runs, 12 runs batted in. There may be something to say for the rarefied air in Colorado.
I agree. I think he's someone that could really go back to what we saw. He'll never go back to what he was, but he may go back to being productive, and that's what you want.
Yeah. I mean, I could certainly see him hitting 300 and getting up around 25 home runs. That's certainly not out of the question.
Absolutely.
Albert Pujols, a guy that I predicted.
You've proclaimed he's done, and so did the guru. They both said he's done.
I wouldn't say I said done. I said in a steady decline.
All right.
And the fact that he hit 360 this week with 3 home runs and 7 runs batted in tells me I may be wrong.
I saw a couple of the home runs, and he hit the ball with extreme authority. He looks very healthy to me right now, and I think that you're going to get the production you expect to get from Pujols. Mm-hmm. No, you're not going to get 350 batting average, 40 homers, 125 RBIs.
Right, those days are over.
But I think it's very, very possible to get that 290 to 300 batting average and get the 30-plus homers and the 100 RBIs, and you know what? You take that.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Braun, another guy that I was happy to get on and trash a little bit at preseason. Yep. He started off very slowly, but picked it up in a big way this week. 308, 3 home runs, 4 runs batted in, 7 runs scored.
Yeah, and the big question with him has been, well, is he going to be able to hit without steroids or whatever? I said before the season, I'm on record as saying I have a feeling he's going to be the same Ryan Braun that he always was. Now, what that means about steroids, I don't know, but I just suspect that he would be the same type of hitter. It kind of looks like that's where we're at with him right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I would expect a certain amount of drop-off, if he's clean, as he says he is right now, but still a very productive player.
Absolutely.
And over in Flushing, David Wright, a big week.
Yeah, he actually is very hot at the moment.
Yeah, batted .464 this week. No home runs, drove in 6, did steal a base.
Yeah.
Now, here's the situation with David Wright right now is that I actually heard him on an interview last night. And, basically what he's saying is the interviewer asked him, how difficult it is or it must be for him to hit in a lineup with really no protection. Granderson's not getting it done. Davis is gone. Duda's Duda. There's not a lot of protection in that lineup for him. So he's basically saying, listen, you know what? I'm trying to drive the ball. I'm trying to take it the other way. I'm taking what the pitcher will give me. And that's all he can do right now, but he's doing it with success.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good plan even when you do have guys in the lineup that are hitting around you. The only difference is that the doubles and the homers or whatever he's getting is not going to be a whole lot of guys on base or whatever the case may be. So the production might not be there, but it doesn't matter. Right now, you just want him to hit. And eventually, there'll be some guys on base in front of him.
And he addressed the power issue and said, he hopes some home runs will come. I mean, he's not going to hit 30. He's not going to be a 30 guy in that lineup in that park. But, you have to hope for him to hit 19, 20.
Oh, I think he's going to hit 20. I would hope at least. 25 is my number, Finn.
I would hope so.
And close to 100 RBIs because he drives runs in other ways.
Right.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. The runs batted in, I think, will come. I think the average will be there. I think he'll steal his 15 or 20 bases. Yeah. You have to hope for 20, 25 homers.
Absolutely.
Billy Hamilton, a big week.
Oh, God. We saw one of the worst swings in history from Billy Hamilton. If you hadn't seen it, I'm sure it's readily available on YouTube. But
I actually saw it on Facebook.
Terrible. He looked terrible.
He looked like
a guy.
Like an old lady trying to sweep off the porch.
Billy, don't be a hero.
I mean, it was the worst swing I've seen in the major leagues in quite some time.
Yeah, but the thing is, I actually was watching the game, I think it was last night, and Hamilton got on first base. I can't remember how he got on. I don't know if it was a single or whatever, but he got on first. Oh, I know what it was. Well, no, he got on base. The next person hit a ground ball back to the pitcher. I don't know if you saw it. And he ended up going to second and then going to third on a ground ball back to the pitcher and was safe at third, and then he scored right after that. A manufactured run if there ever was one.
That's what speed will do.
That's what he's about. But he's got to get on base.
Well, he hit 318 this week. He stole 5 bases. So if the guy gets on base, he's going to wreak havoc.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
He's going to wreak havoc. It's just a matter of getting him on base. Then we have the 500 Club, which is something we kind of did a little bit last year. Guys with a minimum of 20 plate appearances over the course of the week that hit at least 500. We had a few of them this week. Devin Mesorasko, Cincinnati Reds catcher, 526, 1 home run, 5 runs batted in, tossed in a steal for a catcher.
The back end of a double steal, no doubt.
In the back end. Tulowitzki hit 500 with a home run and 6 runs batted in. And the unbelievably consistent Chris Colabello, 500 this week with 6 runs batted in.
Yeah, and he's up to, I think, 19 or 20 on the season. I think he's leading the American League right now. I plucked him right early as a free agent pickup first week of the season. I'm like, you know what? They're going to give him some at-bats. Let me take a shot with this guy. Had big numbers in the minors, but wasn't able to translate it last year. Now we're starting to see it. We're not really seeing the home run production, though, but we're seeing everything else. So I'll take it.
Absolutely. A couple of pitchers quickly with big weeks. Lance Lynn. Very big week, 2-0, 0.71 ERA, 1.11 WHIP, 16 Ks and 12 1/3.
Yeah, he's getting back to where he should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Jesse Chavez, we spoke about him last week. He's still getting it done.
I don't know.
Listen, he was 2 starts this week. He was 1-0, 1.38 ERA, 0.85 WHIP with 15 strikeouts in 13 innings.
I think we want to start zooming in on his hand when he's on the mound to see if he's got any pine tar in that hand, because it's quite unbelievable, actually, what he's doing.
Yeah. Now, here's another guy. Ervin Santana still getting it done. 2 starts this week, 1-0, 1.38 ERA, 1.08 WHIP, and a very dominating 18 strikeouts in 13 innings.
Check his hand, too.
If you ain't cheating,
you ain't trying.
2 more quick guys. LaTroy Hawkins, 3 saves, no earned runs, 0.67 WHIP. With Parnell gone, I'm sure the Mets wish they had LaTroy Hawkins back. We will talk more about that later. And another ex-Met closer, K-Rod, 3 saves this week with a 0 ERA.
Yeah, he seems to have gotten a firm hold on that closer position right now. I don't think it's going to go back anytime soon. So.
All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. We'll continue with who's hot on the season. We'll also take some phone calls if you care to weigh in on any of this. 855-446-7284 is the number, 855-446-7284, or join in on our chat box. We'll be back with Fantasy Baseball Code Red in a couple of minutes.
OnInRadio.com.
OnInRadio.com.
Hey Beatle fans, I'm Glenn Calderon.
And I'm Lucy Diamond.
Join us every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time for Beatles Across the Universe.
On inravio.com.
Broadcasting to the world.
Catch us.
For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit hansoncarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, this is Gina Cotillo from The Gina Show. Come join us every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for celebrity interviews, Reality Reel with Billy Charles, funny stories with Brian Kinnear, and much, much more. The Gina Show can be found only on inravio.com, broadcasting to the world. So come and catch us.
inravio.com.
Hey, we're back here on a Tuesday night edition of Fantasy Baseball Code Red. You can catch us here every Tuesday night from now on at 6:30. All right, so we talked about who's hot for the week. Let's talk about some hot hitters for the season. We're 3 weeks in now. I know there's a long way to go, but if the season were to end today, we'd have some big surprises on our hands. Who do you think the National League batting champion would be?
National League batting champion. I don't know.
Would it shock you if I said it would be a tie between Chase Utley and Charlie Blackmon?
Charlie Blackmon, I should have realized because he's been red hot almost the whole
At
season.
406.
Yeah,
both of them.
They're both. I mean, Utley.
Ted Williams.
Utley's scared. I don't think Ted. I don't think
Ted's not nervous yet.
I don't think Ted's relatives are concerned
Ted's
at this
head's
point.
not nervous yet.
Ted's head has been frozen by cryogenics and
Yes, it
is somewhere
has.
waiting for the right moment to unveil it.
Yes, it is.
That's great. No, they're both off to a great start.
The AL batting champion would be none other than Alexi Ramirez at 360.
That's very quietly 360.
Yeah. NL batting champion. We'd have a tie between Mark Trumbo, Brandon Belt, Braun, Neil Walker, Pedro Alvarez, and Stanton, all with 6. A couple of surprises there. Belt, Neil Walker.
Those are the two big surprises.
Yeah, even Trumbo to a degree. The AL home run champion would be Pujols and Batista, both tied with 6. Here's a really good one. The National League RBI leader at this point. Now, here's where it's going to jump off the page. It's not who it is, it's how many it is. Giancarlo Stanton, which, not a shock.
Right.
You could see that. 26 runs batted in 3 weeks into the season.
That is amazing.
26 runs batted in.
At that pace, he'll be capping 180 RBIs this year. Or
Now,
more.
listen, here's another guy. He's got 6 home runs, but here's another guy that plays in a pitcher's park.
Not a great lineup.
In a weak lineup.
Yep.
And here he is. He's got 6 home runs and 26 runs batted in over 3 weeks.
Well, people are pitching to him, and if you're going to pitch to him, he's going to hit him. So.
Yeah, you said last week, if this guy's healthy, he's a monster.
Yeah, without a doubt. And right now, he's healthy.
Yeah.
He's doing it. And they're not the back of the fence scrapers either. These
No.
things are long gone when he hits
Listen,
them.
this guy's got power and then some.
Yeah.
AL RBI leader Chris Colabello
There you
with
go.
20.
Yeah.
That's a shock if I've ever heard one.
It is a shock.
National League stolen base leaders, we have a tie between Eric Young Jr. and D. Gordon, both with 10.
That's a lot in the first
That
month
is a
of the
lot in
season.
3 weeks.
3 weeks in, whatever.
Yeah. And over the AL, Elvis Andrews with 9. So right now, 3 weeks into the season, my National League fantasy MVP is Giancarlo Stanton, batting .303, 6 home runs, 26 runs batted in, and 2 stolen bases. Keep it up, Giancarlo. AL fantasy MVP. You know, a guy that we haven't spoken about all that much,
Who's that?
but quietly having a really solid season so far is Mike Trout. 307,
Yeah.
5 home runs, 13 runs batted in, and 2 steals.
Yeah, no, that's good production to get the season going.
The reason we haven't spoken about him that much is because he's been consistently good. He hasn't had that one big week.
Right.
Okay, hot pitchers. If the season were to end today, you ready for this? Here's a couple of very
Hit
big
me.
surprises. National League Cy Young Award winner is Aaron Harang.
He kept haranguing around, and
He's
now
haranguing around at 3-1.
and now he's getting to reap the rewards of haranguing around.
He's 3-1 with a 0.70
I gotta be honest.
ERA,
I thought he was done.
0.82 WHIP, 22 strikeouts, and 25 2/3. The Mets thought he was done.
I thought he was.
The Braves thought he was done when he didn't make the team out of spring training, and they sent him down to AAA. And the only reason he's on the team right now is due to a couple of injuries to Gavin Floyd and Mike Minor.
Yeah, the only thing I will say about that, and not just him, but others as well, is the reason that you're seeing, well, right now the pitchers seem to be way ahead of the hitters right now.
Yes.
You're seeing a lot of
Yes.
pitchers that don't normally have the kind of numbers they have right now, and you see a ton of hitters that are hitting 150, 180. I mean, yeah,
Right.
we talked about a few of the guys that are hot. There are so many guys hitting below 250, 220, and below 200.
Yeah.
I mean, Mario Mendoza is laughing at half the league right now.
Yeah.
Because
And you know what? It's not necessarily atypical, at this point of the season for, the pitchers to be ahead of the hitters at this point. I mean, it's just, it
They're
takes
way
a little
ahead.
while for the hitters to catch up. And
We've had bad weather, we've had snow, we've had
Yeah,
rain,
yeah,
it's been
yeah.
cold. We've seen it all in the first few weeks. So that is going to change, folks. So don't hang your hat on Aaron Harang or even Ervin Santana or
Right.
anybody else.
Or how about this guy, the AL Cy Young Award winner? You want to do the drum roll, or should I?
No, you can do the drum roll. You seem to have that. seem to have a knack for that.
Mark Burrell.
Oh,
4-0, 0.64 ERA, 0.93 WHIP.
You can write it down now. The ERA will be over 4 when it's all said and done for Mr. Mark Burrell.
Well, we got a couple of sell high candidates here. If you can get anybody
No,
to
he's
bite
one
on
of
these
them.
guys, you run.
He's one of them.
You
no
run.
doubt.
And let's quickly do not hot for the week. Grady Sizemore and Raul Ibanez, both 1 for 22. Carlos Santana and Curtis Granderson, both 1 for 19.
Now, Granderson, I tell you what, Met fans have had it with Granderson already. We're 3 weeks in on a what is it, a 4-year,
Bluebirds are out.
$65 million deal. The Mets have a history of signing free agent. If I was the Mets and Wilpon, I probably would be afraid to sign these guys too. Guys don't seem to get off to good starts when they play for the Mets and they get signed as a free agent. And I don't know. That's what it seems like to me. Jason Bay is the poster boy for it.
It's where hitters go to die.
I don't know. It's incredible. I mean, and now Granderson is off to a horrendous start.
You know what's funny, though? This whole trend, this whole curse, really started prior to the construction and completion of the construction at Citi Field. I mean, Jason Bay and some of these guys, they died long before. I mean, you can go back to, remember back in the day with guys like Carlos Baerga and Robbie Alomar. And, these are guys that came to the Mets and they died.
The Mets have had numerous free agent signings that have not worked out. Bobby Bonilla. I mean, even Carlos Beltran. He ended up having a good career with the Mets, and I would say played very, very well and was a solid hitter for the Mets. But his first season was a debacle.
Do you remember George Forster? I remember George Forster.
Now you're going way back.
Well, I'm going to go way back only because what he said was very funny when they announced him and brought him in for the press conference, and he's there in front of the media, and he says, those low-flying jets over Shea Stadium better watch out because I'm in town.
Yeah, well, I think George...
Okay, George.
If my memory serves me correctly, I think George had 15 home runs that first year, but... and by the way, a little footnote about George Forster. Do you know when George Forster finally got released from the Mets? Think about this for a minute.
Don't recall.
You don't recall what year it was?
No.
He was released from the Mets at the trading deadline.
83?
In 1986.
Oh, that's right.
He was released just before Christmas.
Right.
Just before the party began.
You're right.
And the Mets won the World Series. They let old Georgie
I forgot
Boy
about
go.
that.
So, and along with Ed Lynch, I might add another footnote.
Yeah, that one I felt worse about than Foster.
Yep. So I'm sure they just
I forgot about
forgotten
that.
it.
I forgot about that.
But anyway, so
a couple other guys that
digress.
are sucking wind right now. Carlos Gomez, he's really off to a pretty good start this year. Just had a rough week, 5 for 26. The alarming thing is the 13 strikeouts. 13 strikeouts this week alone.
He'll be all right.
That's a lot of strikeouts
That's a lot
in
of
1 week.
strikeouts. And one brawl and a couple of haymakers.
Yes. Yeah, did you see what happened with that brawl? I actually saw on the news this morning. It was kind of funny. They were talking about Russell Martin and Maldonado, I guess the two chief combatants in that brawl. And Russell Martin challenges Maldonado after the season ends to an orchestrated fight for charity.
Oh, sure, why not? Why don't they? I tell you what, I brought this up last year. We had the WWE type of scenario going on last year between A-Rod and Major League Baseball. Well, we're one step closer now. Why don't they get in the ring, put the cage up, get the cage match going, get Vince McMahon out there, and away we go. We'll settle this like real men.
Let's do it. All right. Justin Upton, rough week, 5 for 25. He got off to the good start. 13 strikeouts for him this week. Are we seeing a repeat of what we saw last year?
All things are as they were then, only you are now there, and it's 2014.
We're coming full circle with Justin.
The careers of Justin and B.J. Upton with the Braves is I think,
over.
coming to an end soon.
Yeah, B.J. needs to find a new carear. He's just pathetic.
I agree.
Alejandro Diaz, 3 for 22. Bad week for him. 9 strikeouts. The thing about Diaz right now is he's got Jordan Danks pressing for playing time, and I'll tell you that could happen. That could happen because I think they've kind of lost their patience with Diaz. He had an opportunity because of the injury to really take over in the outfield there and build upon what he's done the last couple of years, and he's not getting it done. Nope. Steven Strasburg, 0-1 this week, 7.20 ERA, 1.70 WHIP. Rough week for Strasburg, but... I
don't know, man. He's getting further and further away from what we thought we were getting in Strasburg.
He's the kind of guy where you just expect to go out and be dominant every time he pitches, and he's really thrown some really bad games.
He's one of I expect certain pitchers to go out there every third start and blow up a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's fallen way short of expectations.
Not to that degree for a guy that good. No. It is surprising. Another guy, Matt Garza, 0-1 this week, 6.75 ERA, and a very generous 1.75 WHIP.
Giving it all away, Matt.
Giving away the store. All right, so that's who's hot and who's not. If you happen to have a bunch of the knots on your team, you may want to look at our next segment, and that's the waiver wire segment. We'll give you an idea who you may want to pick up. First guy on the list, we've talked about him, Jesse Chavez. Again, he's a guy that may still be out there. He's one of the most added players this week. We do have a little bit of a short time frame this week because we had a show on Saturday. We're back here on Tuesday, so we apologize for being repetitive. But if you have the opportunity to pick up Chavez, I say you should be all over that.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, at this point, he's proven he's been consistent. He's pitched well, and maybe he's found something at his age. I don't know. Normally, it doesn't happen like that.
Again, he added the cutter. let's see if
I'd give him a
that's
shot.
something that's sustainable or if it's, a fluke.
Yeah, I mean, one guy I'm going to throw out there on the waiver wire, which this may surprise you. It may surprise you. I think it's time to give Ike Davis another roll of the dice. And the reason I say
He's
that,
on the list.
The reason I say that is because, I think what he really needed more than anything else was a change of scenery, and
Yeah.
he got it.
Yeah.
And it already seems to be agreeing with him. He's in a different lineup with a different set of fans. He feels different.
He hit a
looks
grand
different.
slam last night
And
for
he's
the
had
Pirates.
and he's had a few big hits prior to that.
I think he had didn't he have a walk-off home run also
he had
for
a
the
double. He had a double for them the other day.
Listen, he's
So, I
he's
mean,
hitting about 350, 375 since he's gone over there.
I just have a feeling a lot of guys seem to go to Pittsburgh to revitalize their career, and I just have
Yeah.
a feeling if he gets the playing time, we'll do the same.
You know what? Ike may be one of those smaller market types of guys that just can't, thrive in.
I think he just needed. I think he just needs a change and a better lineup, I might add, and a better seating to hit in too.
Yeah, and you know what? Here's a guy that just had so much pressure on him.
He did.
I mean, I think the Mets did the right thing by moving him.
I mean, I was against him. You know how I felt about Ike Davis last year. Don't
Yeah.
draft him. I didn't. Don't pick him up. Don't even try him again. But I'm changing directions now because he's on a different team, different environment.
Absolutely.
You give a guy one crack at that. If he gets to another team 3 months from now, then obviously he hasn't been producing. So.
Right. Now I can see Ike Davis bouncing back. Certainly worth a pickup. Worth a drop from the Mets squad is Jose Valverde. He's been replaced.
Papa Grande.
Papa Grande has been replaced as the Mets closer by none other than Kyle Farnsworth. So we will be talking in a week or two about who will be replacing Farnsworth.
Yes.
Because that guy can't even break 90 right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's reaching 90, but
I watched him last night.
he throws the straightest fastball you ever saw. Anyway.
And last night, he threw a couple at 90. Most of them were 88, 89.
Why they even bother to announce he's the closer? Just do what everyone else does, Terry. Just say
committee.
close it by committee, and that's the end of it. You don't have to
Yeah.
worry about anything. When you go out and announce who somebody is, now everyone expects, and then when it's not Farnsworth, it will be, well, we changed our mind.
Yeah.
The Mets mess up these decisions all the time.
Well, I'm going to tell you who the next closer is going to be for the Mets. Write down the name. It's
Here we
going to be
go, folks.
Carlos Torres.
Okay.
He will be the next Mets closer. I think they're going to move him right now into the setup role and see how he fares. I think he may be the next guy in line.
Good luck.
Okay, we talked a little bit on Saturday about Joel Hanrahan. He did work out for a bunch of teams. There is interest. He's a guy that will probably be closing somewhere by the end of the season. Another guy, we talked about Davis, but a guy to consider picking up is Lucas Duda.
Oh, yeah, I think definitely give him a shot. Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, listen, you know what?
This will be the first time you see him with firm hold on the position.
Right.
They got rid of Davis. They made a decision. I give the Mets credit for that.
Yeah, you're going to see a little bit of Josh Satin, but
You'll see
listen,
enough.
Satin's 30 years old.
Yeah,
Satin
you'll see enough
is
of Davis.
Yeah, you're going to see plenty of Duda.
Duda.
Yeah, you're going to see plenty of Duda, and I think if there's ever a year that he's going to bust out a little bit, it's going to be this year, or the Mets going to be in for a major change
It'll
next
be
year.
another position they have to fix.
It's going to be another position that they have to fix.
Yep.
Whether it be through free agency or if there's anybody else in the system. There are a couple of guys in the system. We'll see what happens. Marcell Ozuna. This guy's quietly having a pretty good year.
And one of the few guys in that lineup that can hit, that can help Stan.
Now, he's hit safely in 15 of 17 games this season. He's locked in. 343 on the year, 23 hits.
Yeah, another young guy, and that's again what I always talk about with these young players is that we expect so much so quickly from these guys that we forget that they probably in most situations would be in the minor leagues, and here they are at the major leagues, and if they don't produce right away, we kind of forget about them.
Right.
He falls into that category.
Right. And here's an older guy. We'll turn the tide a little bit on this guy, but Juan Uribe. You know what? He's hitting 325 with 3 home runs, 7 runs batted in. If you need a fix, if you're still waiting on Manny Machado, or
Short-term
if you
guy.
need a short-term plug-in, he may be your guy. And if you're in need of some steals, a guy that's kind of under the radar right now is Rajay Davis. Rajay with a 294 batting average, 1 home run, 5 runs batted in, and 7 stolen bases.
No, that's again. He's a one-dimensional player, but
Yeah, don't let the 1 home run fool you.
Yeah, we're not expecting much more than that. So stolen bases is all you're going to get out of him.
Yeah, I think so. All right, let's quickly run through the injuries, and then we'll take a break. We just mentioned Manny Machado. Machado playing rehab games, will be back in early May. We've got some new injuries this week. A couple of pretty serious ones. Chris Sale. I don't think the injury is that serious. They're calling it an elbow strain, but he is on the DL, so make other plans for a few weeks. Michael Kadire, hamstring injury on the DL.
Yeah, but I think he's not that far away. I think
Yeah.
you'll see him soon.
Yeah. Wandy Rodriguez, apparently he has a knee injury. I would have guessed it was an arm injury by the way he's been pitching.
Well, it could be a neck injury from watching all those balls fly out of the park.
Well, he's on the DL. Another guy that we spoke about last week is Scott Feldman.
Yeah.
Feldman just hit the DL.
Tendonitis.
Yeah, biceps tendonitis. Adrian Beltre will be back from the quad injury probably this weekend.
Oh, that's bad news for people that picked up Kevin Kuzman off because he's been red hot in his place. I think he had 340, 2 homers, and like 8 RBIs. So.
Yeah, again, he's always a short-term fix.
Yep.
I gave up on Kuzminoff years ago. Will Middlebrooks began his rehab assignment, as did Shane Victorino. Both of them should be back shortly. Aroldis Chapman throwing batting practice.
Yeah, well, he'll be back soon.
He'll
So
be back. They're talking about mid-May, so it's probably going to be, a few more weeks for him. This week's edition of Tommy John surgery, Ivan Nova. Add him to the list.
Well, Admiral, we're going to go to a quick commercial break right now. We'll be back and finish up with the rest of the injuries and get to the next segment in a minute on Fantasy Baseball Code Red on Enravio.com.
We'll be back.
Hi, I'm Dave Canfield, host of Nerdgasm.
I'm Joe Winchell. Nobody likes me.
And I'm Peppercorn Montgomery.
Tune in every Wednesday night only on Enravio.com to hear the greatest nerd discussion of all time. It is Nerdgasmic.
It'll be the best nerdgasm you've ever had.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Enravio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Enravio.com.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or a flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural.
And organic.
But strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
hear you, son.
in Ravio.com.
Hey, we're back. Apparently, we were experiencing some technical difficulties. We apologize. Let's finish up with our injury report. But before we do that, I want to just announce a couple things. Dear Dad, back on in Ravio on Thursday nights at 6:30, starting this Thursday night. And also, you can go to the InRavio.com webpage. We've got a couple of contests, tickets to see some concerts at the Paramount, including Killswitch, which is pretty exciting. And just go to the homepage and you can click on the contest link and you'll be able to enter for tickets. Okay, back to the injuries. Cole Hamels will be starting on this Saturday. So Cole back. Mike Minor will be activated to make his debut on Saturday as well against the Reds.
Good.
Clayton Kershaw on track to begin his rehab on Friday. So we're still looking at mid-May for him. They're certainly not going to rush him back from the back.
No, not at $33 million a year, they're not.
Absolutely not. David Robinson back.
Yeah, and there goes your closer carousel. So everyone that jumped on the Sean Kelly bandwagon, they are now going to have
right
to
off.
Just jump right off it again. So, but hold on to him. You never know.
You never know. James Paxton, I know you're a big fan. You know what? He's looking at needing 6 to 8 weeks of rehab.
It's going to be June, late June.
Yeah,
before you
I would
see
say
him.
late May at the very earliest,
Nah,
probably
it'll
June.
be June. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame. And then Hisashi Iwakuma back from the finger injury. Right now he's throwing in the bullpen. He looks like he's going to be back pretty quickly. Everything feels great.
I think he has a rehab start actually tonight.
Yeah.
So they'll get a
he
rehab start
does.
out of him, and then we'll see what happens from
Yeah,
there.
he may be up next week to
Could be
start
not
in
too
the
far off at
majors
this
again.
point.
Casey Jansen's still 2 weeks away or so. And Doug Fister looking to come back for a start on May 7th. So look for him to return.
Okay.
All right, let's
don't forget about Ivan Nova.
Oh, and Nova.
Tommy John surgery.
We said that.
He's out. He told Nova already?
Yeah, well, we actually went over the Nova thing, but I'm not sure if anybody heard because apparently my mic was dead.
I think probably what's going to happen is either Phelps or Vidal Nuno is going to be the pitcher that takes over for him. So I think Phelps has got the first crack at it. And you know what? Phelps did pretty well last year in that role when he was filling in for guys that were injured. You know, if you get 6 innings out of him, 5 or 6 Ks, you know, pitching in a good lineup with a good pen, he might be a good grab right now too for the waiver wire. So keep him in mind.
Yeah, definitely a fill-in. All right, let's quickly do Man Crush. Guys that seem to be, these young guys. We talked a little bit about Matt Harvey earlier today. And then we've got the situation now with Bryce Harper. Harper had a good week last week, not so good week this week, 3 for 22. But the big story with Harper this week, he was benched. He was pulled out of the game on Saturday for not hustling to first base on a ground ball.
I love it.
So you know what? You have to wonder what's going on with some of these young guys and just, not being able to handle the instant fame, the instant fortune. They just don't seem to get it.
Well, my feeling on Harper is that I think that Matt Williams absolutely, the manager of the Nationals, absolutely did the right thing.
Yeah,
because
and
the way
Harper said that too.
The way he came out of the batter's box after hitting that little dribbler, and like I said to my son, my son's 23, but we all played baseball. And I said, I've done it, you've done it, we've all done it. Anyone that's played baseball has come out of that box totally disgusted with that swing, and you trot down to first base. The problem is that really at the major league level, you can't do it because at that level, you're getting paid millions of dollars to run 90 feet. And that's the problem.
That's the issue.
David Wright has done this, and he can't seem to break out of it. Jose Reyes used to do it when he was with the Mets. I don't know if he's still doing it.
And I don't say it's lack of hustle.
The list goes on and on.
Yeah, I don't say it's lack of hustle.
It's disgust is what it is.
It's disgust. It's even immaturity. But you know what? When you're getting paid $5, $10, $15, $20 million a year, your job is to run to first base. Do your job.
Failure to run 90 feet. And I also saw on MLB Network, they had given out some kind of a poster the same day. It said something like Harper Hustles or Hustle and Harper. Did you see this?
I didn't see it.
On MLB Network, they had shown that they had given out a poster that says Harper Hustle, and it shows his hair flying in the wind, and he's hustling.
God, that's hysterical.
Just not when he had to.
That's hysterical. public relations nightmare. All right, General George Springer, talk to us.
All right, so I mean, now they're experimenting with Springer in the 4-hole, which he could definitely handle. He's only hitting 270 with 1 hole.
Right.
Does he even have no room? No, he's got an RBI, a stolen base.
Yeah, it's funny. He had a couple of infield hits to start the season, and then wound up. They had him starting in the 2-hole, and they moved him into the cleanup spot. I don't have a particular feeling either way on that. I don't know if you do.
That's the right place for him. He's the best hitter on that team. He should be in the 3 or 4 spot. So there's no point in messing around with it. Just put him there and let him go. So that's where he is. And you got to give this guy 100 at bats, 200 at bats before we figure out if he's going to be able to hit the major league level. But I don't think that's going to be an issue.
No, you know what? There's absolutely no rush on this guy. He's a guy that we all know what kind of talent he has. He's got superior power, superior speed. He'll hit for a decent average. Again, the knock is that he's going to strike out a little bit, especially, at the beginning of his career, and that's okay. Strikeouts in Major League Baseball don't seem to carry the weight that they used to in years past. We've got a bunch of free swingers now, guys that are striking out 150, 180, 200 times a year, and it's not that big a deal anymore.
As a comparison, guys like Joe DiMaggio struck out like 40 times a year. Think about that for a minute.
If you struck out 100 times a year, even
Back
10
then,
years ago,
they
that
sent
was
you
a
home.
big problem.
They sent you home.
That was a big problem. All right, so let's we wrapped up Man Crush. Let's get into our rookies and go down on the farm. We'll try to throw a few different names out for you this week. I know we've been kind of talking about the same names. Right now, Alex Guerrero, second baseman for the Dodgers. You know what? Here's a guy that's hitting 440. Now, I didn't realize he was as old as he is. He's 27 years old, batting 440, 2 home runs, just 1 strikeout and 25 at-bats. He's going to be up, I would say, mid-year, the latest. The only thing holding him back right now is D. Gordon.
Where are they going to play him? That's the problem.
Well, the thing is, D. Gordon, as long as D. Gordon's getting on base and stealing bases, we're going to have a situation where there's not a pressing need for Guerrero. So, but this guy has got a lot of talent, and, we're going to see him up, I would imagine, this year at some point in some capacity.
Similar to Puig, they've made an investment. They're not going to want to have him sit in the minors. You will see him up.
Especially not at 27.
No.
This is a guy that they can't afford.
Can't wait
you're not going to make this guy wait forever at 27. Nope. If he was 21, 22, 23,
that's
if he misses this year, you can live with that.
Yep.
But here's a guy that's 27 and, probably coming into his prime physically. So he's not a guy that you want to leave down there for much longer.
Not a big home run hitter, though. He's not a power hitter, but I think he can be a solid hitter.
Yeah, he'll be a solid hitter, no question. Archie Bradley is a guy that we have discussed. He's had a couple of bad starts. It's funny, ever since his agent brought up bringing him up, and I guess tried to put a little bit of pressure on Arizona to bring him up. He went into the tank for a couple of starts. His last couple of starts, he's given up 7 runs in 8 1/3. That's a 7.56 ERA. Batters are hitting .333 against him right now. You know what? He's a potential ace. The guy's got nasty stuff. He'll come up. He'll produce. It's just a matter of time for him. I don't think it's going to be a lot of time.
Yeah, the problem is that the Diamondbacks are playing so bad right now that they really have no real need or desire to bring him up. And they're 5-12 or whatever they are. They're just.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what his status is. If he's a Super 2 guy, he probably is.
He is.
So he's going to be a guy that
you won't see him until after June.
Yeah, probably. Second week of June, I would imagine.
At least.
Michael Franco. We've talked a lot about him. We have differing opinions on him. I think the guy's got more potential, I guess, than you do at this point. You know what? He's getting hot. 3 for 5 on Sunday. Double, 2 runs scored, 2 runs batted in AAA. It's been a brutal start for this guy, so the multi-hit game was encouraging to see. But through the first 16 games, he's batting at .153. He's a guy that I believe will be up sooner than later. I don't think Ash is going to do anything to keep him down at AAA.
Yeah, but he's got to produce to come up, though.
He's got to produce.
He's not going to come up batting 150.
He's got to show a little bit of average, but I think we'll see him before the year is out, without question. Another guy that we talked a little bit about was Chris Bryant. He's hitting .286 at Double-A Tennessee. 4 home runs, 3 doubles, 3 stolen bases through 14 games. Not a big speed guy, but he'll probably steal a handful of bases. But he projects as a big bat in the middle of that lineup. He's a 30-plus potential home run guy at the major league level. I look to see him probably in the outfield, not at third base, but certainly this year.
That's a player that in a lineup like the Cubs, they need help. That's a guy you could see. If he's hitting well at AAA, doing his thing, I think you'll see him in June.
Yeah, I would say so. Here's a guy that I say run and grab now. Like, as you're watching the show, you can minimize us, go open up whatever website your league is on, and go pick up Andrew Haney. And here's why. This guy was the 9th overall pick in the 2012 draft. He has been lights out.
He has.
He has been lights out, okay, over the course of the young season. But this guy has been lights out. He's given up 1 run in 8 hits in 19 innings. 22-2 strikeout to walk ratio. Okay? He got it done at Oklahoma State. He got it done at the Double-A level. He's getting it done at the Double-A level. I see him being promoted very, very soon to Triple-A, if not straight to the majors. I mean, he plays for Miami. Miami's not afraid to do that. I see Haney absolutely coming up this year, but doing more than just coming up. I see him making an impact.
I think so, too. I think you're going to see him, and I think he will be an impactful player. However, he probably will not be much help for you in September because that innings cap will come into a play somewhere along the line. So you'll get use out of him during the season, but you may not have him when you need him.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I picked him up in a couple of keeper leagues. In fact, I think I picked him up in our league today, too, which is not a keeper league, but you know what? You can never have too much pitching.
Not the way they're going down. They're dropping like flies out there.
Yeah, they are. Another guy that I'm really, really high on, but we talked about him earlier, and his path to his parent team right now is a little blocked, and that's Jock Peterson of the Dodgers. Here's a guy right now batting .442 on the season in the minors. 5 home runs, 4 stolen bases, 12 walks, just 9 strikeouts in his 12 AAA games. Pretty impressive.
It is, but he's totally blocked. He's got nowhere to play until a move is made or someone's traded. So.
Well, someone's traded, and he could be the guy.
Yep.
He would make very, very attractive trade bait, for the Dodgers to make a move with this guy. And, the Dodgers are going to be looking to make a move at some point this year. They typically try to do that. But, you've got Kemp, you've got Ethier, you've got a lot of guys with the potential to get hurt on that Dodgers team. So, Jock Peterson is a guy to definitely pick up at stash.
I have a couple of guys. We're getting close to the end of the list here, but I'll throw them out there real quick. An interesting guy called up yesterday by the Detroit Tigers, J.D. Martinez. Now, we all know who J.D. Martinez is. He's been around for a while. He was at Houston. The only reason I bring him up is he's red hot. He was red hot in the minors, hit .308, 10 home runs, 22 RBIs. That's pretty good hitting. I mean, at this stage of the season, to have 10 homers and 22 RBIs. Now, if he does end up getting playing time, he might be a plug-and-play guy while he's hot for a couple of weeks and see what happens. So I throw him out there as a potential pickup. He's in the majors, and he is playing.
You never know with these guys. I remember a long time ago in a fantasy baseball league, I had an opening. I had a player go on the DL, and I just decided there was this guy playing, and everybody knew who he was, but there was this guy playing for the Atlanta Braves who was off to a torrid start. He was tearing it up, and the guy is Lonnie Smith. And Lonnie Smith, I at the time you had to call. We had you had no websites, you had no stat services. Everything was done on paper.
You had to call it in.
I ran to the phone. I called the commissioner of the league. I'm like, Mr. Commissioner, I want to pick up Lonnie Smith. He's like, why do you want to pick up Lonnie Smith? Why you wasting your time? Why do you want to pick up Lonnie Smith? I said, just throw him on my roster. Lonnie Smith went out and had an awesome year that year.
Yep,
he started for me the rest of the year. So you never know. With a guy like that, you could be looking
only
at the
because
same
he's
thing.
hot. If they brought him up and he was hitting .250 just to fill a spot, okay, well, then not such a big deal.
Right,
but
right.
.308, 10 homers, 22 RBIs, give him a shot.
Yeah. Who else you have?
Jonathan Singleton. I think Jonathan Singleton is close. I mean, they're not going to call him up at this point, probably till June, but he's hitting 340, 7 homers, 23 RBIs down there at Houston's AAA team in Oklahoma.
You know what? He's shown he's the real deal after the PED
He's
scandal.
had some bumps in the roads.
He's
for
had a
sure.
few bumps, but you know he's shown that he's the real deal.
That
he's a
team
big
needs
guy.
help. They need a guy like Singleton to help Springer. The Astros have a lot of talent that they have in the minor leagues. They need to bring them all up. So
you know, it's funny. The Astros right now remind me a little bit of the Braves back in like the early to mid '80s when they just started bringing up all these guys. You know, when they started bringing up guys like Smoltz and Glavine, and you know, and they were horrible for the first year or two, and then all of a sudden they'd all clicked and these guys matured, and they were forced to mature at the major league level. That's what you're going to see in Houston.
That's one of the reasons why I thought they should have stuck it out with Jordan Lyles, because now he's pitching very well in Colorado, which we didn't mention him before, but Lyles is 3-0, I think, on the season. Decent ERA, 2.28, and pitching in Colorado. But he was part of that, you know, group of guys that Houston had their hands on. They let him go. But Houston's up and coming, and they've got Carlos Correa down there also, which is, he's way off though. He's in single A or whatever. You won't see him for a couple of years, but they've got a lot of prospects. So that's what losing does. It gives you a lot of #1 picks. Don't forget the other guy, you have Mark Appel too.
But you know what? And he's another one. You know, I mean, they're stocked. They are the anti-Milwaukee Brewers. the Brewers probably have the worst farm system in baseball, and obviously I would have to say St. Louis is probably the best. But Houston is.
No, they're up and coming.
They're up and coming. They're doing a good job. One last guy I want to throw out there is Kevin Gausman. You know, had a rough start to the season, pitched really, really well on Sunday, 5 shutout innings. You know, this guy's another guy with really nasty stuff. You know, he's going to be the first guy that they recall from the minors when they need a starter in Baltimore. So, you know, he's a guy you certainly want to have on your radar.
Absolutely.
Anybody else?
That's it for me.
Okay. You have.
You got a couple of streamers.
You want to throw out a couple of streamers?
1 minute left.
Yeah.
Anybody up in the chat box there?
What is that?
Vogelson. I'm not a big Vogelson fan right now.
Oh, Vogelson?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm down on him a little bit.
I was actually a little bit higher on him a couple of years ago. I really thought he was going to break out, and he really didn't.
Yeah.
You know what? He's a serviceable pitcher.
Yeah, right now, I'm not really high on him. I don't think he's somebody that I'd be looking for.
Yeah, I don't think there's a tremendous amount of upside there anymore. I could be wrong.
I mean, he came out of nowhere a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But now, today, he's not on my radar at this point.
Yeah, Vogelson is a guy that a couple of years ago I thought might be an up-and-coming guy, but I'm not feeling him right now.
Yeah. Just a couple of quick streamers. Tom Kohler pitching against the Mets on the 25th. He had a good start last time out. It's a good streamer for you if you need a starting pitcher. Edison Volquez is pitching tonight. Let me see, against Cincinnati. Volquez has been unreal.
Yeah, he's actually got 2 good starts this week.
He's only 14% owned in Yahoo leagues. You know, Zach McAllister was also one of my streamers, but he pitched last night. Pitched good again, I believe, if I remember the box score correctly. And Robbie Ross is a bit of a reach on the 26 against Seattle. He's done a nice job so far. The game's at Safeco, but he'd be last on my list.
Yeah. One of the guys is Chris Young in Seattle. He's going against Houston, I think, this week. He did have a rough start his last start, but I still like him. He's only about maybe 10 or 11 innings into his season right now, so I like him.
We'll see you next week, everyone. That's it.
All right, we're out of time here on Fantasy Baseball Code Red on radio.com. Next Tuesday night, Tuesday 6:30, we'll be here. Have a good week.